because sugar makes you hungrier, so you buy more of their poisonous.
Now in today's episode, we're going to be talking about Milo, a beverage, a malted beverage drink made by the conglomerate Nestle. Now exactly 5 years ago, I actually made my first video talking about this in response to a video made by the founder of this education hub based here in Malaysia, Vishen Lakhiani, who is the founder of MindValley. To be honest, back then my video skills, my presentation skills may have not been the best, so I kind of want to review this topic again and kind of do a full breakdown of this 4 minutes video and let you know my thoughts. So let's get started.
In Asia's fattest country, nutritionists take money from food giants. Know what is Asia's fattest country? It's Malaysia. What the New York Times exposed is how government officials in Malaysia take money from food giants like Nestle, then are swayed to take what is essentially crap and market it as healthy food. I want to show you something.
Now there's nothing wrong that he mentioned about that article per se. If you have some time, I would highly recommend, and I'll put the link in the description box below. This article written by the New York Times features a prominent nutritionist here in Malaysia, the president of the Nutrition Society Malaysia, Dato T. Yi Siong. And it basically talks about how certain nutritionists allegedly lobbies money from major conglomerates like Nestle, for example, to fund research, to fund policies, regulations, and the sort. There is some truth in this, and I'm not going to deny it. There is actually a need for many of us academicians, I'm not one of them, but many of my fellow colleagues in the university line, that we need basically money to fund research. There's no free lunch basically on the table, right? And if you ask for my honest opinion, some regulations could be a little bit tighter, but I'll talk more about some of the details on that later in this video itself.
I was trained as a kid in Malaysia to take 2 to 3 glasses of Milo every single day because of advertising that said this made me better at sports. This is a can of Milo, and everything below this blue line, 40% of this can is nothing but pure sugar.
Let's be very, very clear cut here. At the end of the day, Nestle is a multinational conglomerate who is in the business, of F&B, here to make profits, here to make money. To be fair to Milo, to be fair to Nestle, technically speaking, Milo as a beverage with refined sugar can actually help as a post-recovery or a pre-workout meal that helps these kind of athletes perform at their peak, right? Now the other thing that I need to talk about is when he takes the bottle of Milo and labels that this is 40% sugar. Over here, I've got a bottle of honey, and if I've got a marker pen, I have to cover every single thing here to say this is 100% sugar, right? And does that mean honey is intrinsically bad? Not necessarily. Now it all boils down to two things, right? How much do you actually use? So for example, if I take only a teaspoon, 5 grams of that honey for example, and I put it in a glass of water, 250 mils, that's actually very little sugar in respect to the entire volume. Now there are also guidelines on how much sugar you should consume in a day, and I covered that in my previous video if you want to check that out. Now the other thing is to compare it to what? So for example, something is healthy compared to what? Something is healthier compared to what? Something is less healthy, evil, toxic, right? Compared to what? For a glass of Milo, if you follow the recommended servings with skim milk, for example, compared to a typical glass of teh tarik, for example, right? It's not the best thing. Teh tarik has much more sugar here in Malaysia. If you compare it to boba, for example, right? Much more sugar. Milo has B vitamins, it has certain grains, right? And grains have certain vitamins, minerals, those kind of nutrients, which are quintessential, beneficial for you. If you're comparing it to water from a calorie point of view, obviously Milo is going to be more caloric dense, right? But if you're comparing it to other sugar-laden beverages, in all honesty, Milo isn't the worst.
But the article in the New York Times talks about some even more disturbing stuff. This is Honeystars, right? Nestle paid the government hundreds of thousands of dollars to advise them on nutrition. As a result, Honeystars, which is one of the highest sugar content of any cereal, gets a red sticker from the government, from the health body of Malaysia.
You need researchers who is going to discover the best evidence possible to formulate the best policies and educate the public and educate and mandate how food manufacturers and providers create and curate their products. We need food players to be part and parcel of all these programs so that we can actually feed the country, right? If you put in social demographics, if you put in all these kind of demographic based factors, right, it's not as simple as let's feed everybody the healthiest ingredients. I'm not going to deny that in an ideal world, we would want to have everybody get the best whole grains, the best proteins, the best fish and so on and so forth. But from an economy, capitalist society point of view, that is just impossible, and that's why you need food providers, food manufacturers like Nestle in this kind of discussions and conversations. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is the Healthy Choice logo, right? So the Healthy Choice logo is a project pioneered by Dato T himself, where it would help consumers like you and I discern whether a particular product is healthier for you or not. Back then when this video was filmed, I believe the guidelines were much more looser, whereby for breakfast cereal products, you can have up to 30 grams of sugar per 100 grams of product, among other nutritional requirements like B vitamins and so on and so forth. And as of August of 2021, these guidelines have been since revised, and the requirement now is dropped to less than 20 grams of sugar. Is Honeystar a product that I recommend to people who wants to be generally healthy? The overwhelming answer to that question is no, mainly because it's not the best cereal option available in the market. There are many other cereal-based products that have much higher fiber, much less added sugar as well. Personally, if you ask me, I am on the side where I would think and I would reckon that the healthier logo should be a gold standard where people can look up and have a bit of faith, whereby this product is on an absolute level definitely in that healthy baseline of what a healthy diet should look like.
Big pharma and food companies are not incentivized to make you feel healthier. They're incentivized to keep you sick. They're incentivized to keep you pumping your body with sugar, because sugar makes you hungrier, so you buy more of their poisonous.
They are not incentivized to make you sick. They're incentivized to make money. That's it, right? You are incentivized to go to your job to get your salary. He's incentivized to sell a product, sell a program at the end of this video so that you buy it. Get my point? So there are basically two things here, right? The first one is, how do we actually regulate food players like Nestle? And by the way, I want to just put it out there, it shouldn't just be about Nestle. It should be the big players, the small players, the medium-sized players as well. Food production is a huge thing. And I come from a culinary background in the past, and guess what? Our objective is not to make sure that you're healthy. Our objective is to make sure you enjoy the food you're getting. And in an ever-growing, fast-paced world, everyone is competing on who has the tastiest, best-pleasing product. And that oftentimes means more sugar, more seasoning, more fats, all the really unhealthy stuff for you. So we do need more stricter regulations. We do need more stricter incentives that help companies, big, small and medium, to really create products that benefit the market. But therein lies the problem, right? If the market decides that that's not the product they want to consume, big players like Nestle, small players like you and I, medium-sized players like the small-time brands won't have any heft to want to produce those products that nobody will buy. Which then comes down to point number two. You have to be educated. You have to actually know what's the correct evidence from a nutritional standpoint on what you should consume. And the question that you need to answer yourself is, are you disciplined enough, and are you willing to forego pleasure sometimes a little bit to be healthier? That's why preventive health systems like meeting your community dietitian or going for your annual checkups, for example, that really helps you take care of yourself and get good information.
You may have heard the controversy with Nutella. Recently, people had to sue the Italian company Ferrero that makes Nutella, because they were positioning Nutella, which is essentially palm oil and sugar with a little bit of chocolate. They were positioning it as a breakfast food that is healthy, because apparently it contains a tiny percentage of milk, which we also now know is completely unnecessary to the human biology.
The most important thing there is you should understand how to read food labels, right? If you are someone that doesn't consume a lot of sugar, a lot of added sugar already, you consume a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits, for example, in your diet, and you want to indulge in a bit of Nutella and a bit of Ferrero Rocher, I don't see the issue. He mentioned very quickly about skim milk powder, and then he goes on to say that it's not a biological need. Two things here, right? Number one, if you go and check out his Wild Fit series, which he's going to promote at the end of the video, it talks about how you don't need, milk, and how the whole dairy industry is a big conspiracy. There is some truth, but there's a lot of misleading information as well. And that's not for today's video. And if you want to find out about that, I will do a video if at least a few people comment down in the comment section below that they want information on the dairy conspiracy.
We're releasing my masterclass with Eric Edmeades of WildFit.
So herein lies the problem, right? Milo uses a national athlete to promote a malted beverage, and that's evil. That's, the worst thing you can do. But here he is using Milo and demonizing it so that he can promote his masterclass, and that's fine. We gotta have a bit more tactfulness here, right? And you as a consumer, you watching this at home, need to know that everybody is trying to sell you something. I'm trying to sell you my videos here, so you better subscribe.
How to rewire your brain to change your relationship with food. But we've been brainwashed and conditioned to spend money on what is essentially poison. Can't wait to see you guys in the program.
He uses key buzzwords here like brainwash, rewire your brain. What it definitely does as a marketing presentation perspective is that it triggers you an emotional response. It elicits you to feel like you've been victimized by this huge perpetrator, right? And it helps you respond to his call to action, which is his masterclass. Creating a fictional problem that complicates further your nutritional journey that they can provide a potential solution to tackle later on. The truth is, at the end of the day, when it comes to nutrition, a lot of it boils down to discipline and how do you maintain a very simplistic, sustainable dietary pattern and lifestyle habits. Oftentimes, it doesn't require you to shell out additional money. So whenever money is involved, red flags should be flagged in your brain already. Added sugars is just one small part of health. And it really boils down to what you want as your health objectives right now. If you're trying to lose weight, for example, you can reduce all the added sugar intake you want in the world, but if your food portions are still out of whack, your deep fried foods are still out of whack, for example, you will not lose weight. You can't expect removing Milo as the silver bullet to your health. And that's something that's very important. So at the end of the day, context really is key. So there you have it. These are some of my thoughts. I really enjoyed doing this review. Let me know, did you actually learn something down in the comment section below? If you really want to support the work that we do, please give this video a like and consider subscribing to the channel if you have not. It really helps the channel out a lot. And last but not least, let me know what other things do you want me to react. Is there a conspiracy, maybe dairy, maybe paleo, maybe keto? You let me know, and if you want it bad enough, I will do a video on that. And hopefully I'll see you soon.